Oh, cool. He got a new form. The Icarus form. This is, not a form I've actually ever used, because I always use the other form that you can obtain, which is the, the dark form, but cool. He now obtained Icarus. I was just heading to our next area, so I will actually, probably, cut ahead. Yeah, I'll be waiting for the dark form. I'll stick with Pet Dozer for now, but I will, see you guys when I get to our next area. Okay, guys, I am now back. We're now back. I'm now right in front of the gate that needs the bunny key, and this will lead us to our next, well, the last section of the ruins, actually. Is this the way I want to go? No, I want to go further. That is the last section, actually, which you can't access because you'll need the last key anyway, but you can go a little bit deep into it, somewhat, if you want. Not really deep, just the beginning part. But either way, yeah, this is our next area. Ethanica, I think. And this is, yeah, Ethan's domain. He is the last Kid King before Priscilla. Or the last one we haven't met, I guess. Because we haven't technically... Oh, no, Ellie met Priscilla, so... Yeah, the last Kid King we haven't met. The second to last one we'll beat. And as you can see, kind of maybe tell by the backdrop, Ethan is, or also by the fact that they said he was, Ethan is a tech geek. And see, just like how toys are in Zoe's kingdom, there's like a giant satellite back there. It's not as pronounced, but there's definitely, this has kind of got a secret Arctic base type feel to it. It's kind of a cool world. It has some of my favorite music in the game. Not so much this, but the other two sections have really amazing music. One of them being my favorite song in the game. But I would say, well, I might have my favorite music in the game. Zoe's Kingdom still is my favorite kingdom in general. But yeah, at this point, with at least personally with Drill Me Mister and just almost all of Ellie's really good abilities. There's a few more you'll get, but not really. Getting the air super blaster or whatever, the thing that allows you to jump up and like just kill things, makes the rest of this game just. Well, actually, to be fair, there is some tricky portions coming up. It's not like this game's gonna be super cakewalk, especially if you're not careful. If you're careless, you can easily just get screwed over if you're just not paying attention. But for the most part, I'll be able to get tons of money and just grind off enemies with my combination of moveset and combination of chops moves. Yeah, this music right here is kind of It's just kind of more atmospheric. It's okay, but you know, probably actually one of my least favorites in the game, if anything. This portion right now. Okay, come on. I still need to actually purchase Henry Hatsworth. I keep forgetting to do, or not really forgetting, but I keep, whenever I go to the store and look for, like, DS games, I always look for, like, the Layton, because I've really gotten into the Layton series. Though, for Professor Layton, I've only played Curious Village and, Last Spectre. Which, I like the Last Spectre better. They're both great, but the Last Spectre is just pretty awesome in general. But, yeah, I always forget to look for Henry Hatsworth when I look at, like, used DS games. I mean, I could buy it new, technically, but really, there's no real negative, aspect to getting used, necessarily. Well, except for, obviously, the publisher doesn't get the money, which, you know, I mean, that's why I did buy, this game when it came out new. And, of course, Henry Hatsworth is a few years old, but I did buy this game when it came new because I wanted to support the publisher and not just, you know, get the game cheap and easy. But with third-party games, it's, you know, ends up being more, or not third-party games, but any kind of games. Well, I guess third-party games, because with Nintendo games, typically, you end up seeing them, ooh, Jinx. I guess I can buy something from Jinx. I guess I can buy special damage. Or I can buy other stuff, too. Looking at the first one, it was kind of expensive. I don't know. Yeah, I guess I'll get this. And I'll buy some stuff for Chomp, too. For his last form, he actually needs cookies and video games. And also, and this makes the last form interesting, most chomp, most, or for all the other form for evolutions, if you get to level 30 and he hasn't evolved, like, to the next form while you're leveling up the current form, he won't be able to evolve at that point, except for this one. If you're trying to get from Pet Dozer to the Dark form, you can still level him up past level 30 if he's already level 30 Pet Dozer, because of the ability to take damage and attack enemies. Usually it won't work because of, you know, having to use the pet items, but with the way the level up system works for Dark Chomp, the Dark Chomp form specifically, that won't be an issue. And I have actually done this. You know, I've tested it. I've had him be level 30 before, and he still has leveled up. So I know there's been a few times where in past Let's Plays I'll say something that's kind of possibly skeptical, and then I think off the top of my head I remember. Ooh, good. He's now mastered that, so I can now give that to the Dark Chomp form. Specifically, I remember, I think it was during the CSS's Wind Waker LP, I mentioned that you could, taking photos of the bosses in Ganon's tower still counted them as figurines, and someone said, oh no, you can't, they don't count, but they did end up counting. So, it does work. You can still level up Dark Chomp. You just can't do it for any of the other forms because you had to use pet items. But anyway, yeah, Nintendo games typically. Oh wait, I don't want to go there yet. But that's my favorite part with my favorite music. But Nintendo games typically don't go down in price. Like, unless Nintendo puts them on sale, they're still usually gonna be $40. Even and used is just gonna be slightly cheaper. It doesn't make sense to buy them used. For third-party games, depends, because sometimes like they'll be cheap right away. Like I think Rayman Origins is actually $20 right now, which you should go get if you. Actually, is this the last trade slot? I think it is. We will check in a second. Okay, where is... Yeah, it is. So that's the last trait slot. That's good. But yeah, Rayman Origins, which is a fantastic game. That game's already down to $20 new, technically. So I know, and maybe it's mostly just on the Wii, but it seems. But I've seen even like Xbox 360 games for like, you know, not the like big titles, but the more kind of still good but less mainstream titles tend to be lower price, especially on the Wii. But yeah, but like then getting them used, you know, sometimes they can even be even cheaper. And at that point, they're like they're under $20 at that point. So, you know, especially in the way you know, the economy and wanting to get games cheap, it is appealing to want to get used games. Of course, then you have Steam, which has games on sale for insanely cheap. And hello, Ethan, you are a kind of high-tech looking guy. So Ethan, actually surprisingly I don't remember the person's name, but Ethan, of his voice talent, is actually voiced by the person who voices both Botan from Yu Yu Hakusho, and Bulma and Bulma's mother from Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z, and it really doesn't even sound like her, but I guess I never really heard the voice actress's, male voices. But yeah, he actually screwed up somehow. I think he was using a DS. He screwed up, and because of Nathan, which I assume is his monster, and he now opened a door for us in the tube works. So, I guess at least he was trying to be threatening, unlike Zoe, but he was, for a boy genius, he did screw up. Though, I guess, like most geniuses, he also blames someone else. It actually is interesting how you think people who are like geniuses would be the hardest people to trick, but actually they're the easiest because the people who think that they're really smart, at least, they think that they're really smart, so they don't think they can be fooled, and therefore they're more susceptible to being fooled because they don't doubt things as much because they think they're right. That's why it's always good to try and be a little bit humble too. I mean, of course, there's always the varying degrees of intelligence, there's the people who think they're smart and tell you that they're smart, and there's the people who are smart but don't think they're smart. There's actually some kind of psychological thing where the people who think, and this was, I think I saw an article that was applied to video games too. If you think you're good at a video game, and then you actually end up not being, it's kind of like you're not. The people who are really truly good at something tend to underplay their actual skills at the thing, because, like, for example, if you are good at using Photoshop, you know all the ins and outs of Photoshop, you know what you lack, and you know what you're not able to do, because you know what the program is capable of doing. But you still, typically, those people also tend to be really good at it, because they may not be, they might be able to hit its max potential, but they know a lot of tricks because they've been, you know, using it for a while and they've gotten good at it. Whereas people who aren't good at something, or at, like, Photoshop, they only know the bare basics, so they think they're really good at it, but then they don't realize all of the potential that the program can. So it's, I don't know if I'm explaining that right, but essentially that people, those who think that they're really good aren't, sometimes aren't that good, and those who do think that they're good, or vice versa, what I was saying, not what I was I'm just getting kind of flustered. Anyway, yeah, I know I'm kind of rambling off topic, but really there's not. I mean, I'm just beating up enemies. And like I said, as you notice, I've been, like, with Drill Me Mister, it's really easy to use that to just keep hitting the enemy up in the air and just make gems rain out of them like a piñata. A tasty, no, not really tasty. I don't think I've ever actually had a party where we used a piñata. Or at least not successfully. If we ever did, it was just kind of a failure. Or just, like, no one used it. Or it was one of those cheap piñatas and like, it just all... It didn't break apart right. I miss being young and being able to... It's like, parades in general kind of suck, but, like, when you're a kid, parades are awesome simply because you get to go run in the street and get candy. And now, it's deemed unacceptable to run in the street and get candy. So, yeah, parades are boring for me. Except around here, there's, I don't know, I doubt it's anywhere else, but there's a society, like, of old men, that, I think, Shriners, and they pretty much just, in the parades, they'll ride around on, like, small mini bicycles, or motorbikes, and that's just awesome. I mean, old people on motorbikes, I don't complain for that. But actually, yeah, we are, I'm pretty much done for this episode. I'm gonna, like I said, I do one area per video I've been leaning towards. So, I've been making 400, and I'm reminding you that, Ethan is a techno geek.